Let's turn our attention to the SheBelieves Cup. Canada coming off the 1-0 victory over Argentina, that goal in the 92nd minute. I'm going to spit some stats at you. They pretty much dominated that game. 63% possession, 17-7 were the shots, 5-3 were the shots on target. Ollie, what's your biggest takeaway from that win?
Yeah, well, one much more basic stat is that they've scored one goal and they've conceded one goal, and they were both off set pieces. So in terms of the defensive organisation of the team and the competitiveness of the team, I think we can be pretty pleased with what we've seen under Bev Priestman through 2 games. Obviously, yesterday's game wasn't pretty in any way. And the question marks that come out of that are, again, the ones we've been talking about for a long time now with Canada. It's chance creation, it's finishing, it's attacking quality. And I think for me, the biggest takeaway is just that there is still a wide open competition for the Olympic roster here in terms of these attacking positions. I think particularly the 2 wide positions. We know Christine Sinclair is going to come back in and be that, I think, be that central striker. Jordan Heitzmer is almost certainly going to be on the roster as well in a similar role. So for me, it's about the wide areas and how you get more goals and more chance creation out of those players. You know, Janine Becky, I think, is a lock. Deanne Rose, I think, has strengthened her case for a place on the roster. Adriana Leon, I said before the game, I thought she needed a big performance last night to really show that she can add that attacking quality. I didn't really see it. So there's a few players, I think, who still have something to prove, and maybe a few players on the bubble as well who have an opportunity to play a more prominent role than we might have expected, because this is an open competition.
Yeah, heading into that game last night, we discussed how it seems the defense is a little bit more understood with Canada, but still some question marks when it comes to their offense. And I mean, you look at the last couple years, Gareth, and especially with Christine Sinclair, in the year 2019, they scored 12 goals in 12 games. She scored 5 of them. Then in 2019, you look at the CONCACAF qualifier, she ends up becoming the all-time leading goal scorer. Other players showed up. But once again, now you look at this tournament and the 1 goal in 2 games. Is she still proving that at 37 years of age, she is the most important player on this team?
Yes, without a doubt, Christine Sinclair is the most important Canadian women's national team player. I think there's a little bit of a misnomer that this Canadian team has been blessed with goals over the years. That's simply not the case. In 2011, a Women's World Cup year, they only averaged 1.25 goals per match. 2015, 1.33 goals per game. 1.25 goals per game in 2019. This simply isn't a team that readily scores goals. And really, the difference between the World Cup in 2015 and the World Cup in 2019 was beating Switzerland versus losing to Sweden in a game they simply just couldn't score goals. Sinclair is your difference maker in the team. She's your reliable outlet for goals. After Christine Sinclair, I said it on the broadcast last night, Janine Becky's the next best in terms of active goal scorers with 31, and now she's probably better from a wing position, providing crosses and distribution rather than goals. So there's no doubt in my mind that Sinclair remains the most important piece for this team at this upcoming Summer Olympic Games.
I'm still going to say small sample size because we did this yesterday after 1 game and still only 2 games. But Ollie, based on what you've seen, who's on that Olympic bubble for you?
Well, it's interesting because, you know, we talked about this a little bit before the show, and it is a small roster, that Olympic roster. It's only 18 players, and it fills up quickly. And so I can pretty much map out what I think that roster is going to look like already. The 2 players that I really think are interesting cases right now are Desiree Scott and Sophie Schmidt, because they're 2 players with a massive amount of experience. They've performed very, very well for a long time for this Canadian team. But I think probably over the past couple of years, their status as kind of automatic starters has come more and more into question. So I think if you take those 2 players both to the Olympics, I don't know if there's many roster spots at all to play for because of the players that have already solidified their places ahead of them. If you decide to maybe drop one of those players, which would be a big decision for Bev Priestman to make, and one that would generate a lot of debate, I'm sure, given the 350 plus caps these 2 players have between them. Then there's maybe space opens up for someone, for Bev Priestman to maybe take a bit of a gamble on a more attacking player, another winger, another centre forwards, or someone of that type. So I think that's where we're starting to see some big decisions that Bev Priestman's going to have to make about how much she sticks with that tried and tested core and how much she gambles on some of these players that she's brought into the group for the SheBelieves Cup.
I'm totally with you, Ollie. I can see a scenario where one of Scott or Schmidt goes, and maybe not both. You know, my preferred starting midfield right now, if you were to ask me, it'd probably be Quinn, Ashley Lawrence, and Jessie Fleming. I mean, that's a pretty good three players right there for those positions that provide a little bit of balance, distribution, grit, physicality. And then if Diana Matheson comes back and she's fit to go, I'd expect her to come. And potentially you want another midfielder that can play that position, that can provide a little bit more attacking prowess. Would that be a Sarah Stratigakis or someone like that if they show well over the course of these next couple of friendlies? I think it's going to be a big ask to see both players. Just one other player I want to throw out quickly is Gabby Carl. I think she's done well. She's played at right back. She's played at left back. Yeah. If Bev Priestman wants to play Ashley Lawrence in the midfield, then Carl would have to be on the team because she can back up both Chapman and Rivera at that position as well. So I'm with you, Ollie. These spots are filling up quick, and two veteran players who are great leaders, well-liked. Are they going to be on proper form to earn their way into the squad this summer? It's going to be intriguing.